Okay, let's bring our next and final group to the front of the stage, and that is the Urban Water Management Group.
On the Wanganui River, we have a saying, ko au te awa ko au. I am the river, and the river is me. By that standard, I'm quite sick.
I'm Helen, I'm from Palmerston North, and I can't swim in my river.
I'm Tasha, and I'm from Dunedin, and we can't even fish in our river.
I'm Jamie Lee from Reefton, and mining is killing our fish.
I'm Frank Fish, I'm from Party, and I have no friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, we all just met Frank. Frank is a native fish, and we found Frank in the Domain stream while we're on our intrepid journey through the concrete jungle of Auckland. Now, Frank's story is one of persistence, it's one of courage, integrity and resilience. Frank has swum at least 1,200 metres up vertical heights through everything from drains to waterfalls from his home, the Big Blue Ocean, just to grace our presence in the Auckland Domain stream. His perseverance is particularly important in this day as we deal with the ever-growing problems associated with our usage of resources. And what tends to be most affected by these problems? Our waterways. In particular, the ones that carry away all of the pollution. I would also like you to meet Lynn, sitting down the front here. Lynn is slightly less fortunate than Frank. She found a bad river that is overrun with pollution. Will she ever find Frank?
Streams are all around us. Water is abundant in New Zealand when you compare us to neighbouring countries. We Kiwis take this luxury for granted, and many of us have no idea how reliant on streams we really are. For many of us, they may just be part of our scenery or in our backyards. But really, these are valuable resources that we as a country need to protect. Not only do they provide a home for the Franks of our society, but on a business level, there aren't many things we can produce without water. Streams therefore have huge economic significance. Streams also channel out stormwater, preventing floods, so we all gain from having streams. The problem is that we often ignore all the other creatures that benefit from streams. We add concrete pipes, we dump waste, and in some cases we even just get rid of streams completely. Frank was lucky enough to be able to climb up these concrete pipes and make his way up to the start of the stream. A huge achievement for such a small fella. But many of Frank's friends unfortunately couldn't handle this task, leaving Frank alone in the jungle.
Quality streams provide a home for a large range of creatures, from macrophytes to long-finned eels. The key word here is quality. Like us humans, creatures cannot live in areas with pollution, disease, and no food. If quality deteriorates, then so will biological diversity. But how does this affect us? Well, when you think of New Zealand tourism, I bet the first thing that pops into your head is our clean, green image. But how can we hope to sustain this? Well, if we continue to hide our streams in pipes and kill off our native species, the Franks of New Zealand have been living here longer than us and deserve to keep doing so. Before human intervention, our waterways were beautiful, but human activity has reduced many of them to dirty puddles. This has unfortunately happened to Lynn's stream. The low water quality has made her life a sad, sad story.
Global biodiversity is dropping fastest in the freshwater ecosystems.
96% of our lowland streams are not suitable for drinking or swimming.
1 cubic metre of polluted water can pollute 8 cubic metres of fresh water.
Because we haven't looked after our streams, they have gone from this to this. Rivers are important because of their water, but more significantly because of their water quality. On Tuesday, we were given the opportunity to spend the day as a group researching what factors make up water quality and the ecological values of the two streams, the Oakley Creek and the Domain Stream, as shown here. Whilst the Domain Stream is situated in the city centre and surrounded by a large pocket of native bush, Oakley Creek was quite different. The fact that it was located in a very urban and residential area created obvious differences between the two streams, both visual and ecological.
To determine the ecological value of these streams, we had to look at various factors, from tree coverage to the size of the stones present in the river, even what bugs were present. For example, whilst the Domain Stream had fewer bugs, but these bugs were vulnerable to toxins, but Oakley Stream has more bugs, but these are more tolerant to harsh conditions. This involved us getting our feet wet with our helpers from Waikea. The most surprising thing was the number of creatures that was living and surviving in the streams. It is not something that you would notice right away, but when we got into the streams and looked closer, only we realised that a stream is not just water and rocks, but a home that provides shelter for safety to many creatures. Every day we get to go home to a shelter and a safe environment and food, so why can't they? Frank has a large appetite, his favourite dish being the insects found in the streams. The poor old mite would starve without these insects, despite if they disappeared due to bad water pollution.
With the huge help of representatives from Waikea, we discovered the following. Overall, Oakley Stream had a stream ecological value, SEV, of 0.632 out of 1, and the Domain Creek had an SEV of 0.667. It may seem surprising that these streams had such similar SEVs, considering the Oakley Creek is surrounded by urban catchment, while the Domain Stream is surrounded by native bush. The Domain Stream, with little residential zone, meant that less work is required to ensure that water quality is maintained. But how does Oakley Creek remain so clean? The Oakley Creek has had a lot of work done on it by the community, known as the Friends of Oakley Creek. Over the last 7 years, they've planted trees, removed rubbish, and most importantly, respected their stream. All of this has resulted in the water having a way higher than first predicted overall SEV.
What the similarity comes down to is community involvement. It isn't a big city corporate or council organisations that have been driving these changes. It has been a community group called the Friends of Oakley Creek. This little group of dedicated people has managed to clean up a rundown stream through hard work and effort. It's the little people that have actually made the difference. Until we met Wendy and a team of dedicated friends, I guess we all felt a little bit insignificant and that there was nothing that we could do to actually help our environment.
Another excellent example of this can-do attitude, which we all found particularly inspiring, would have to be the Twin Streams project in the Auckland region. Basically, the project involved the entire cleanup and replantation of the twin streams by dividing the streams up into sections which schools and community groups have all adopted as their own. Again, it's not the government that's the driving force here, but the people. The founders used innovative methods to actively engage the wider community by incorporating both the heritage of the stream and the arts into their program. For example, a family arts and crafts day would be complemented by a few hard hours of planting on the bank's streams. The public not only engaged in the planting, but also learnt everything from the mouldy heritage of many streams to heaps of art and music, making the hard work fun and a small project a huge success. Over 2/3 of all the adults in the regions around the twin streams helped out in some way, working together not only for the benefit of the environment, but the community as a whole. One of the main attractions of the twin streams are their sense of unity and community. These people have regained a sense of trust and belonging, something which I feel is sometimes lost in this generation. The projects have transformed the streams and the suburbia which they run through, and this is huge. What the twin streams and the Oakley movement have both in common is that they both work to actively involve some relationship between the community and the councils, and both don't try to fix the problem immediately, but instead look at the wider picture and forecast for about 50 years. They recognised that the environment isn't a quick fix project, but a complex and living system that takes constant nurturing and care.
Overall, these factors combine together to create something special, a pioneer project that should forecast a new way of caring and interacting with our environment. We can all learn from the Twin Streams method. The key to getting people behind community organisations is teaching, letting them know how they can help. We learned from YCare, Morpham, Twin Streams and Wendy John's community group that community is key. In order for their operations to be successful, they had to engage the wider public, which for anyone is a huge task. Each local waterway comes with its own issues. For example, the Manawatu River, which is, had effluent from farms pumped into it basically on a daily basis, and the motorboat pollution in the Wairua River in Blenheim. This means each project has to be tackled in a unique and different way. However, we understand that the factors that underpin a successful project are the same. Knowledge of the local streams and the landscape, an interactive council, a supporting and a united community, and ourselves, the dedicated individuals driving the hard work. So, where do we start? Well, start from the bottom up. The locals, who are probably as knowledgeable and compassionate as you are. From our week here with the Sir Peter Blake Trust and the Ministry for the Environment, we have come to realise that we can make a difference. We can change our local environment.
We all create the problem. Fast food rubbish, paddle pop wrappers, plastic and glass bottles, and cigarette butts are all thrown into stormwater drains by people just like us every day. This is the problem. If we are part of the problem, we are not part of the solution. If we are a part of the problem, this does not mean that we have to remain a part of the problem. It's all about realising what we're doing and what we can do to help. Even if it's as small as putting a lolly wrapper in the bin or recycling that little bit of paper. What we do makes a difference. We learnt that if we do something small now, it can affect people 150 years down the line. If our generation begins the cleansing process now, future generations can enjoy and preserve what we have created in the future. Auckland's Twin Streams is leading the way. Its success can and should be replicated around the country. So spread the word. The only barrier to any project success is ignorance. Now, Frank is much happier. He's got a friend, Lynn, because they can access the same environment, because we removed the barriers that prevented them being able to move upstream. He has made many little Franklins. And if we continue with our legacy, they can continue enjoying their environment. So, just like Frank, we can enjoy it. So, we'll leave you now with a quote from Dr. Seuss. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not.